Hello, my name is Sydney, and today I'll be talking about vaccines, herd immunization, and how they help prevent the spread of disease. Last year, in the northwest corner of the United States, the measles ran rampant, or as rampant as they can be in 2018. Over 71 cases were reported in Washington state alone, not including the Portland metropolitan area where the outbreak was the worst. Now, according to the News and Health website, there had not been a case of the measles in the United States in the 15 years leading up to the year 2014. This disease is a highly preventable disease if the correct steps are taken. For example, the measles vaccine is the MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella, that is given at about 1 year old, and a booster is then given at 5 to 6 years old. These vaccines also create herd immunity, or the resistance to the spread of disease resulting from the vast majority of the population being immune to it, generally through vaccination. If this disease is so preventable, why are we seeing it become a common occurrence today? This is where anti-vaxxers come into play and how their actions can inhibit herd immunity from doing what it is supposed to be doing. There are many reasons why people do not vaccinate their children. Some are legitimate and some are not. And here's where we will see people have been led astray through the media and through now redacted journal articles regarding vaccines and autism. Herd immunity is a very important concept, not only for the average person or child, but for those who are not well enough to receive the vaccine. Some people are born with immune system issues, acquire them through other diseases like cancer and some autoimmune diseases as well. These are the people that are forced to rely on the rest of the population to get themselves and their children vaccinated, because they physically cannot. So, the people who choose not to vaccinate are not only putting themselves in harm's way, but putting others in harm's way who do not have the luxury of having a choice. Herd immunity is what helped the spread of many diseases such as measles, polio, mumps, etc., because the more people got vaccinated, the less people were getting sick. However, this all changed when in 1998 a paper published by Andrew Wakefield was released in The Lancet, a British medical journal. This paper stated that the MMR vaccine was somehow linked to autism. This claim set parents off everywhere in the United States. Autism is a complicated genetic disorder that is not altered or brought on by the vaccination of the child, nor by the vaccination of either of the parents. This paper caused many parents to question and second-guess their decisions to vaccinate, and ultimately many parents chose not to. This paper was redacted a whole 12 years later in 2010. At this point, anti-vaxxing was and is a trend and not so much science-based. This is where herd immunization starts to break down in America. The trend of not vaccinating your kids was in full swing with celebrities and famous people not necessarily promoting it, but not hiding it either. Some people held pox parties, where instead of vaccinating their child, they would bring their child around another with chickenpox, and they would have the child naturally become immune. While this may seem like some type of solution, it is not the safest way to prevent yourself or your child from getting sick. This is where vaccines come in and prevent the spread of disease without exposure to a live virus that could potentially cause harm to a person. While vaccines are live viruses, they will not make you sick with the disease. There may be slight side effects within the first couple of days, but they are not nearly as severe as contracting the actual disease would be. This also is where herd immunity starts to take form. When people start becoming vaccinated and are immune to certain diseases, which creates an environment that is protected against those diseases. The importance of herd immunity is not just for those who are otherwise healthy, but for those who cannot be vaccinated against the disease due to other health issues or age. For example, babies under the age of 1 year cannot be vaccinated because their immune systems are not strong enough to adapt and create antibodies against the vaccine or against the virus. Another example is kids and people who have weak immune systems due to another health issue like autoimmune diseases. So these people rely on herd immunity and on the other people who they come into contact with to have been vaccinated against these harmful diseases. That is where the measles outbreak of 2018 came to be, the largest one in the U.S. in 15 years. This outbreak, according to the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy, the current outbreaks are connected to travelers who have introduced measles into U.S. communities after traveling to countries where large measles outbreaks are occurring. meaning the disease did not come from within the United States, where there is more access to vaccines, but rather was carried here by people who were not properly vaccinated. This caused mass panic among those with infants and small children in the Portland and Vancouver areas in Washington state, as the measles can be a deadly disease for children. This outbreak is not the only one recorded in the US during the same time, but there were outbreaks in New York and a few cases in Texas. The primary cause for the one in Washington was the lack of vaccinations in that area, as 62 of the 71 confirmed cases were unvaccinated people. The herd immunity in this community was seriously lacking and put many people in harm's way. Vaccinations are meant to prevent these things from happening, but if people continue to choose not to vaccinate, then these things may become the new norm, and no one will be safe from preventable diseases. Vaccinations, although seemingly scary, are what protect everyone from contracting diseases, whether that is through herd immunity or through individual immunity. The measles outbreak of 2018 is one prime example of why the use of herd immunity is beneficial to the health of the community. There are many studies that prove how important and successful they are versus the few that try and disprove that those of which have been redacted and have been clarified as false information. If you take away one thing from this talk, I hope you take away that the research that has been validated for the use of vaccines and how they prevent diseases through individual and herd immunity is accurate, and that you too should become vaccinated.